What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Pancakes, and I'm so excited that you could join me today in this new video I have planned for y'all. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about a certain group of games, video games, that I really like, that are part of a series that, are vastly different from the main series. I'm going to be discussing 3 games today and why they're my favorites in the series that they are in. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first Outlier game we have today is FNAF World. Now, I actually made a video about FNAF World really long ago. It was like one of my first videos that I made for the channel. But I'm back to talk about it again in this video because there's more of you now. So FNAF World. It released after Five Nights at Freddy's 4 and was technically the 5th game in the series. Now, FNAF World is different from all the other FNAF games because while the other ones feature jump scare survival games, horror survival and all that, FNAF World is actually a cute little RPG game. Now, I actually really like this approach that Scott took because he decided to do something different with the series from what he normally did. He normally made, point and click horror survival games, and he changed up the formula ever so slightly every time with like the mask in FNAF 2 and the systems from FNAF 3. But, I really like what Scott decided to do with FNAF World and, change up the entire gameplay instead of just changing like 1 or 2 aspects of it. Now, FNAF World was not well liked when it first released. Far from it, actually. It was probably one of the least popular FNAF games to date. But it had a really good Update 2. Update 2 was amazing. It added a lot of cool characters and references. I love that. And overall, I just feel like it's the most replayable FNAF game because you can change up what you do in the game. You could go with only bites. You could go with no bites at all. You could go no chips. You could go only Bonnies. I'm just listing things that the YouTuber Dark has done. By the way, shout out to him. He's amazing. So yeah, FNAF World is an amazing Outlier game. I really like it. It's my favorite of the FNAF series. Next up, we have Danganronpa, another episode, Ultra Despair Girls. But I'm just going to call it Ultra Despair Girls because that's an easier way of saying it. Ultra Despair Girls is my favorite Danganronpa game, and it's actually the only Danganronpa game I have ever watched a playthrough for. Now, yes, there are negatives about Ultra Despair Girls. I listen to those. I care about those. If you know the negatives, you know the negatives. But Ultra Despair Girls is honestly a really big breath of fresh air for the series. It came out after the second Danganronpa game, so it is technically the 3rd game, even though 2 things came out after it that had 3 in it. Because why not? Anyway, Ultra Despair Girls is honestly really fun. You get to run around as Makoto's sister, which is that. This game is also full of canon relatives. I really like Hina's brother a lot. I love Utah. Poor Utah, man. Anyway, getting off topic here. You run around as Makoto's sister with Toko from the first game. And you solve puzzles, you do things, you shoot Monokumas, and then you do boss fights. And then basically you destroy some kids' robots until you get to the final boss, and then you beat the game. Standard stuff. But I'd like to talk about a couple of these aspects for a second. Number 1, the main thing I really like about this game is that Toko got a really big character arc from the beginning of the game. So, if you remember, in the first Danganronpa game, Toko was obsessed with Byakuya. She would not leave him alone, and all she would ever talk about was something relating to him. But in Ultra Despair Girls, she's a lot different. She, doesn't only care about Byakuya. She cares about Komaru, too. Because, they're basically besties at this point. But Toko got a very well-deserved character arc, I would say. The creator did something right with her. They made her a semi-enjoyable character. Next, I'd like to talk about the megaphone gun thing, whatever it's called. I really like that. It's super fun and creative. I really liked watching it, and I love the fact that you can make Monokumas dance with it, because the dance bullets are the best ones, of course. They also did something relevant with the, they expanded upon the truth bullets from the first 2 games. If you remember, in the first two games, there was this thing where you could shoot a truth bullet at something that the characters were saying during the class trial, and then you could refute against it or with it. But in Ultra Despair Girls, they actually expanded upon this and used the break bullets, which is what they were also called in that game, to actually kill Monokumas. And that is really cool. I also like all the Monokumas they introduced. I like Ball Monokuma. He's a meme at this point. I love Ball Monokuma. But also, it had really not compelling story. What am I talking about? It had really intriguing gameplay. While the other games where you just, talk to characters until they die, figure out how they died, watch somebody else die. Like, Ultra Despair Girls is different from that. Ultra Despair Girls, you run around, you do puzzles, you shoot Monokumas. There are legitimate boss fights in this game. I really like the characters. While some are undesirable, I'm not going to say any names, but his name begins with an H. There are some really cool characters. I really liked the Warriors of Hope. The Warriors of Hope are honestly a really cool introduction into the game, and I'm not going to get too deep into that. Their personal stuff, because I'm not into that stuff. I really like Jotaro the best. Jotaro is my favorite Warrior of Hope. When he was about to take off his mask after his boss fight, I was thinking to myself, oh, they're probably just gonna pull like a handsome Squidward on us, and he's actually not gonna be ugly. But then I was also thinking to myself, wait, what if he is ugly and the deception is we think he's not gonna be because they say he is? But then he took off his mask and it's a whole handsome Squidward. I like the other Warriors of Hope too. Nagisa is the only one I probably don't like, but Masaru, Kotoko, they're cool. Monica, she's okay, I guess. I don't know. So the Warriors of Hope are cool. I like all the relatives they introduced. Komaru, Makoto's sister, she's awesome. Utah, Awie's brother, I really love him. He's like one of my favorite characters in that game. Yasuhiro's mom, I'm just going to leave it at that. She's his mom. And I also liked Celeste's cat. Yeah, Celeste's cat. Celeste's cat's in the game. So yeah, I had a lot to say about Ultra Despair Girls, but I still have more to say, but I'm not going to talk about it, because I'm going to talk about the third Outlier game we have in this list, Plants vs. Zombies Heroes. Plants vs. Zombies Heroes, along with these other two games, are among my personal favorite video games of all time. I play PvZH daily, and I honestly am really into it. I can't remember when I started playing. I think I played it like many years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago. And I was kind of a stupid idiot back then, and I didn't do anything but make stupid strategy decks and lose. But now I am more skilled and I create my own strategy decks. I have a really good Green Shadow one and a really good The Smash one. I don't know what to say about this game. It's literally near perfection. It is probably, along with Garden Warfare 2, where Plants vs. Zombies peaked. Honestly, everything after those two games kind of went into a downfall. But Garden Warfare 2 is technically not an Outlier game, since it had its own series along with the first Garden Warfare and Battle for Neighborville. But we're not talking about that game. We're talking about Plants vs. Zombies Heroes. Now, Plants vs. Zombies Heroes was really creative. It came up with so many cool plant concepts and so many cool things that they did with the already existing plants. For example, they came up with splash damage that goes to 5 or 6 plant cards. It's one of my favorite traits, but that's not important. I really like what they did with it. They used 3 or 4 already existing plants: lightning reed, melon pult, winter melon. But then they also made up dark matter snapdragon or dragon fruit, I think it is. Then they also used snapdragon. Those are the 5 splash damage cards, and that's honestly really creative. I love the fact that you can mix traits together in the game. The kitchen sink zombie is the best way I can describe that. Mixing traits together to get overpowered combinations. If you combine strike through and deadly and frenzy together, you have an absolute monster of a zombie. That is kind of crazy. The only real main issue I have with this game is the fact that there are many severe balancing issues. But that is mainly because the game has not been updated in literal years. it stopped getting supported years ago. But there are some balancing issues, such as the fact that the zombie cards are almost always overpowered. Environments are unbalanced. Legendary cards really are too overpowered. But other than those, everything else about the game is nearly perfection. I really like that game. And that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you very much. And I'm so glad that you were able to sit through me talking about 3 Outlier video games that I really, really like. So, anyway, that's it. Have a nice day, and I will see you in the next video.